as I was saying, so this is an inaugural Ops Radio Hour, which is a total experiment. It might be also the last one, but what the hell is this? So the idea is that the OpenStack operators used to do in-person meetups, and we'd all try and be on IRC regularly and the mailing list. But there's been a lot of change in the community. OpenStack's fortunes have waxed and waned, but I still think that it's useful. And one of the problems was just how do we reconnect with everybody? And I found out that this thing exists, Jitsi, which is open source on open infrastructure, which seems like a great thing. And I'm sure that a lot of us do regular video conferencing, and it's sort of the new way. And I thought instead of trying to do in-person meetups, which is very hard these days with travel budgets and should we say politics and other things, we could just try and sort of do a fake Zoom or an open source Zoom like thing, and try and get the community to kind of meet regularly and just chat about things that are relevant to us as OpenStack operators. As a specific focus, because the OpenStack developers have a very well-defined cadence with PTG and double biannual releases and all that. But the operators are kind of a disparate community, right? Like we run OpenStack one way, you guys run OpenStack some other way, large and small. So this is just an experiment. So I didn't put a lot of focus on filling the agenda with a whole ton of stuff, because the first thing is to see, does this work, and do people like it, and should we even carry on with this? Of course, there are the usuals. There's mailing list, IRC. Some communities are using Slack. There's a correction from Fungi there. I think best go read it. It's not technically open infra or something, but I think you guys know what I mean. This is certainly not as commercial as paid Slack, for instance, which is one of the things we explored. But Slack as an ongoing resource for teams is hard to afford for free, right? If you use free teams, your content gets deleted. If you pay, it's a lot, and this is being discovered over and over again by different communities. I see people trying to capture some of the goals here. Thank you. I can't speak and type at the same time. I'm not that talented. So the main thing I wanted to get out of this hour is to sort of validate this idea, and then we can talk about like cadence and who wants to run it. It's definitely not. The idea isn't that it would be my thing or the Ops meetup team. It's the idea is that there would be a regular thing, and then we can do maybe special guests. We can maybe have a rotation. People who want to host it. People could even just have a topic, right? Like I don't know, like upgrade hell or that kind of thing. So what do people think? Like, admittedly, my initial connection was terrible, so we kind of started off in a shambles. But I think that's the way these things go. But I personally find this this facility of basically a video conference with a an embedded Etherpad, which won't go away, won't get deleted, as a nice thing, right? We can record stuff on this Etherpad, and it's not going to go away. Unlike if we wrote something awesome in Slack in a free team, in 6 months' time we won't be able to find it. They've deleted it, and they're holding their hand out saying, "Pay us to keep your content." So, anyone want to speak besides myself? Because so far we've had admins and me, and it's this is not a presentation. This is a get together. Just speak up. Don't be shy.
From my perspective, for us to actually have back and forth conversations and then be able to take notes on it, it's good to do the live chat sort of thing. I've used Jitsi before back during the pandemic when we didn't have those things set up here, so it works well. Obviously, the Etherpad integration is pretty sweet. It actually popped up right when I joined the meeting. I didn't even have to go in and open the shared document. It was already just there. Somebody shared it, I guess, or it was part of the meeting setup. So it was already right. I could see it right away. I just didn't realize I could actually type in it. So that was pretty sweet. As far as like a chat platform beyond IRC that maybe may be a little more accessible, that would always be open, I'd consider trying to do like a Discord or something. because that does keep history, and it doesn't cost anything. It is not open source, so I don't know if that's an issue for people, but it's kind of a good platform for that. Being able to do it without any cost associated with it and not needing necessarily limited. I don't know if it's available to folks in more restrictive countries, like China, for example. But I don't know if this is either.
I thought I saw something about Discord now trying to get funding and some gnashing of teeth about that.
Yeah, I mean, they make money, right? They're a for-profit company. They make money selling things like avatar packs and reaction extra emojis and things that the kids like. But the platform itself hasn't been, at least to this point, restricted. I can't say obviously it's whether that would remain true going forward into the future. But it might be an option for the moment. But I think these Etherpads are probably the best way to keep historical context, for in perpetuity. As long as the foundation exists, theoretically, these should exist.
So I see some comment on the chat. Brandon says, "I really like to communicate and share experience in real-time chat through Slack or Teams." I think I was actually not saying we should use Slack. I was saying we shouldn't use Slack. To be very honest, because either you pay for Slack and it's quite expensive, or the content disappears after 6 months, I think, or maybe it's 3 months. And so that seems like another way for the community to kind of lose focus, right? Because you maybe you share something and then someone else is like, I thought I saw a note about like Slurp upgrades or something, and you're like, oh no, that got deleted. The reason I mentioned Slack is not just to badmouth it. When we did the ops meetup in Mexico City, we found it kind of very hard to understand what was going on with the local organizers. They seemed to be like distracted, and then we found out, I think like the week before the event, that they had a whole Slack team, Slack, OpenStack, LATAM or something, and basically in Spanish language, which of course is perfectly fine. But we didn't know about it. We weren't in it, right? So part of the organizing was happening in a chat that we weren't a member of. So it was not the best, right? And of course, I don't know if that's being paid for it. But I'm on some free chats in Slack, and I mean, I'm on a commercially funded one with my employer, and the latter is great, but it costs money, and that's the impediment here. I don't know if there's. Well, I'm pretty certain there is not funding to do a Slack channel on a paid basis for the operators, right? They're struggling to have it even for Kubernetes.
Somebody just mentioned Matrix, which I had never played with, but that sounds like a possibility. Take a look at it and see. Which is run by the Foundation, yes. I don't know if there's anything else that the Linux Foundation runs as well. Do they have any sort of overall recommendation from Linux Foundation, or is it more of a, they just let all their silos do their own thing and don't really care?
So Fungi's commenting in the chat, pointing out the openness or lack thereof of some things. That is something that I've been concerned about too. At the start of the pandemic, the Foundation jumped on Zoom, and at the time, Zoom was like one of the biggest criminals in terms of security. They're not only just private, non-open source, but they were sending the data via China. And notably, they're one of the few vendors where Apple wrote a specific remover because they actually installed a web server on your laptop, basically. So I do think that there's something to be said for the open source thing, which Fungi is pointing out here. And someone has said that there's a Matrix home server run by OpenDev. Maybe someone could explain the relationship between OpenDev and OpenInfra, because I'm blanking on it right now.
Yeah, so that was me. OpenDev is the community-run infrastructure for things like code review, this Jitsi Meet server, Etherpad. There's IRC bots. There's the wiki. There's it's the idea is it's collaboration tools built around developing software, and I suppose operating it too, right? There's nothing that kind of prevents you from using it for both purposes. In fact, OpenDev itself is operated using the OpenDev services. As part of that, we have a Matrix home server. So Matrix is kind of like an evolution of IRC in that it's a federated network of chat servers. And so we have a home server. Many other people have home servers. That our home server is currently only set up to host rooms, not user accounts. So if you wanted to connect to, say, the Zool room on our home server, you would have to create an account somewhere else. But using that account, which are freely available from matrix.org and elsewhere, you can connect to the home server hosted rooms on our home server. But it
OpenDev
operates.
Is it an offshoot of OpenInfra, or it's entirely unrelated, or?
So I guess the relationship between OpenInfra and OpenDev is that OpenDev is supported by the Open Infrastructure Foundation by paying salaries for people like Jeremy and myself to help operate the services, as well as working with some of the cloud providers that donate resources to us to kind of make all of that happen. So that the foundation isn't directly operating or responsible for these services. The idea is that they're community run, but the foundation as part of the community is participating in that effort. I don't know if Jeremy thinks I got any of the details there wrong.
No, that sounds about right. It's worth underscoring that in addition to me and Clark, there are a bunch of other volunteer sysadmins as well who are not being employed by the Open Infra Foundation, who participate in helping build and maintain all of these various services that our communities rely on.
Got it. Okay, so it's more community-based and definitely not as commercial as, say, Slack and Teams, but it's also not directly run by the Open Infra Foundation. So it's that's great.
Is there
I certainly like that.
Is there a link to that Matrix instance you can throw in there under the comment? Just to make it easier to find.
Kind of. We can link you to existing rooms on the home server, but because we're not set up to host user accounts, there's not really like a link to the home server. There's
so do you guys have to
room
do you have to create the room? Does OpenDev have to create the rooms, and then from there we can join them? So would we want to maybe maybe have you guys create an OpenStack Ops room?
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. Like if you decide that you want to try it out, you just let us know what you want to call the room, and one of us can go and create it, and then you'd be able to join it.
I could do that as soon as later today if there's interest.
I would certainly like to try it. I can't, I don't expect people to get on a sort of fake Zoom regularly. Obviously there's a preference for just non-real-time communication expressed in this meeting. So that might be more Slack-like without costing anyone extra money. Okay, so I think we should postpone the decision or the question of is Ops Radio something that we should ever do again to the end of the meeting, and partly because I think we should actually get into some OpenStack Ops content if people like. So Eric and I have been involved for years now, and the usual thing that gets people really talking is a couple of the topics I'm highlighting right now: pain points and upgrades. So how are people doing? We used to be notoriously behind the curve because of small team and large fleet and those kind of things. And we actually do have some clusters still on OpenStack Mitaka, I think. But I'm happy to say they're going away sometime this summer. And the rest of ours are grinding towards Caracal right now. Like I think we're on Antelope on the new clusters, which is about 15 installations, I think. So we're finally getting a little better at it. How is everyone else doing who's actually an operator, not like foundation or infra here. I don't know how many operators we actually have here, but anyone else want to volunteer where they are?
I guess I'll throw in. I don't have a whole lot of recent change. I'm working on building out a whole new cloud right now, which will be my hopefully my last forklift upgrade ever, thanks to the whole Slurp thing. So I'm not to the point of doing Slurp yet, but but hopefully I'll be there soon. As far as the existing cloud is concerned, I haven't really. It seems to kind of been taking care of itself. For the most part, I haven't been running into any major issues that are not self-inflicted. So not a whole lot to offer in pain point wise. Most of my pain points right now are around building the new cloud. I'm trying to use like Kyobe and finding it very complicated with the implementation of Ironic, which I'm new to. And there's just a lot of knobs and things in there that can be turned, and I don't know which ones I need to actually turn. So some of the documentation surrounding that definitely would be cool. And trying to think of what else. Oh yes, and my perpetual wish for an Ironic dashboard to make bare metal machines more first-class citizens without having to rep my own. But I guess there hasn't been enough demand for that.
Are there anyone else here who's actually operating OpenStack rather than being associated with the project from admin or infra? I get so.
So a couple of people in the chat that
is,
haven't signed in.
Yeah, one thing I didn't do, because I'm told it's kind of hostile, is make people introduce themselves. But if anyone would like to introduce themselves, say what they do and why they're interested in this, why they turned up, that might kickstart the discussion. I think we know Helena and Ildiko and Fungi and Clark. Well,
I see David up there signed in. I haven't talked to David in ages. Hi, David.
Yeah, I can go now.
Sure.
My name is Venkat. Yeah, my name is Venkat, and I'm based out in Singapore. And there's an interesting topic that you guys have put up in the Open Infra forum, right? About the radio hour and upgrading. So we are handling close to 13 regions of OpenStack. Everything is on Train, managed using Cola Ansible. Okay, so and then the one of the pain points is like we are right now on Train and we want to go to Antelope and then further from there to the slurping way of upgrades, right? So the configurational drifts from Train to Antelope is massive. And then, of course, there are a few services that are already been upgraded without Cola Ansible upgrade. But it did come with a lot of pains, like how it has to be managed and testing it and all those things.
Thanks, Venkat. Yeah, I mean, what we try to do when we hear such stories is try to elicit what might make your upgrades a little easier. The slip process that you're obviously already aware of is intended to make it a little easier to keep up by only requiring one upgrade per year. And then I believe that there was things like the various component systems had to have they had to be done when you complete the upgrade process, not expect you to actually kind of go live, because some people have to do the upgrade from A to B and then B to C and then C to D without ever actually bringing up the services. And so some like how can I put it, like behind the scenes upgrades had to be folded into the official database migration process. Are there things that you tripped on that you could suggest, are lacking documentation or lacking testing or guidance?
Or having trouble with versions blowing up?
Yeah, we definitely lacked on keeping up the pace of how OpenStack was getting released, right? And that's why we are kind of due to the other operational challenges, we try to keep it on train, like we did from stain to train, and then we couldn't upgrade further. But then now we are in a verge of moving everything to Ubuntu, and then because everything the base OS was on CentOS, and now we are kind of moving towards Ubuntu, and we are taking the opportunity to move to the latest because there are few bugs which we had to move upstream to closest to the upstream. From the documentation point of view, of course, we are not trying to do the same Cola Ansible upgrade way of upgrading it. But then what we are doing is keeping the services in a modular way. Like we are not touching RabbitMQ, we are not touching the MariaDB or uh, all of those, and we're only trying to reconfigure the Cola Ansible. All the configurations drifts will be fixed, and then do the service level upgrades. Uh, yeah, because there is no way we can bring down the entire cloud to do the upgrade.
So are you trying to skip versions by doing
Yeah.
that, or so you're gonna go
Yeah.
straight from one to the other and not iterate through all those other versions?
No, we are not going to do it in iterative way. We are not going from train to Usuri and then Usuri to Xena or Z and then to Antelope. That's not the plan. But then probably fix all the configurational drifts by doing a reconfigure and then see how it goes. So it will be direct Antelope, train to Antelope.
That's exactly how we used to do it. We would stick on a version for far too long, and then we'd engineer an upgrade where there'd be a weekend where it's just constantly doing my database migrations and upgrading packages, and then there comes a time when you have to actually kind of commit it. So you come down to one OpenStack API node, which has got the updated database after the migrations, and hope that it can take the load and then complete the upgrade, and that's your canary. And if that works, then bring up the other database servers after the upgrade. And but it just stored up a lot of change. We just move forward the API versions a lot, and we'd have to sort of work through many, as you say, drift issues. So we've just rechanged our plan, and we're now unleashing an OpenStack upgrade every couple of weeks to get us all the way from Yoga, I think we were a few months ago, to Caracal. And I think it's a better way, but it's a lot of work. There's no perfect way, but once we get to Slurp, I think we're going to do annual Caracal forward.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, the next challenge would be the Neutron, right? During the upgrade, we have to make sure the L3 routers are kind of course, it is going to have a disruptive change because we try to migrate from one network node to another node and then upgrade it. And then again, we are running the RabbitMQ also on a very lower version, like 3.8. So if there is any hit, like I don't know if during the upgrade, if RabbitMQ and the Neutron is having trouble, like those are all like trial and error process that we are trying to approach.
Yeah, we have a similar problem. We do upgrades with zero downtime now as of several years ago. So the whole API remains up the entire time. the only visible evidence of something going on is an API call might fail when that particular service was actually restarted underneath, whilst it's in flight. It's pretty hard to do, but it's so much better than it was a few years ago, at least. Anyone else want to talk about their challenges with upgrades? One of the things that I remember from the first ops meetups I went to was people were so shy to say, "Oh, I'm on this very old version of OpenStack, and I have these difficulties because, if you look at the mailing list, there's a lot of stuff about like the absolute latest version and all the features, and it's like constant progress." And then what we found was some operators are like, "Yeah, I have this OpenStack cluster and it's years old, and the upgrade is so hard, I don't know if I can do it." And they're just getting, sort of high and dry, abandoned almost. We were that way years ago when we were on Nova Network. We actually couldn't upgrade any further there. We actually had to build all new clusters and move all of our users over to get onto Neutron. I guess nobody else wants to talk about their upgrades.
Yeah, I was gonna say that somebody wrote in the whole thing about the OS upgrades, and yeah, that's another complication. I think it's more a factor of as much the deployment mechanism, but also what OS's things are packaged for. Somewhere if you stepping through the old upgrades, having to go from CentOS 7 in my case, and then had to stop. I would have had to reinstall everything as CentOS 8 or Rocky 8, and then go through a couple more upgrades, and then bring everything up to Rocky 9, which is a real pain in the neck. It's one of those one of those places where it's easier with Ubuntu because you can actually do upgrades from LTS version to LTS version, whereas with CentOS and Rocky and other RHEL variants, it's not so easy. So that was one of the reasons why we're going straight from one to the other and not iterating through various versions.
Yeah, that's we use Ubuntu, and we basically kind of pivot. So we stay on a version of LTS, as you say, and then do several OpenStack upgrades. But then we reach the end of our runway there. So then we basically upgrade the foundation, but keep the OpenStack related packages the same. So we basically rebuild all the nodes with a newer version of Ubuntu that then unlocks newer versions of OpenStack in the Ubuntu Cloud Archive. So we have, it's a two-layer thing. We upgrade the OpenStack more often than the operating system, so you can step forward several. But every now and then we have to upgrade the foundation. And the way we do that these days is 100% wipe and redeploy of every node. And what facilitates that is having, well, obviously for the hypervisors, we can live migrate VMs off, so we can evacuate them, wipe them, reinstall. For control plane, we've got distributed control plane. We've got multiple OpenStack API or Apache nodes, multiple Rabbit, etcd. So the only tricky bit is when you actually have done the database upgrade, you have to bring down to one database server and then bring everything up leaning on that, and that has to take the load for a bit. And we tend to do that at the weekend. That works pretty well for us. I see some great questions in the Etherpad. Some people are just obviously more comfortable with the typed interaction rather than talking. I think that's absolutely fine. I think that does kind of point to perhaps that the matrix room for the operators would be a nice experiment. I'll certainly give it a go. I've never tried matrix. Some of the people on the call will be really bored for hearing me say this, but IRC doesn't work very well for us at Bloomberg. It's completely banned at the company, and I can use a web interface, but sometimes that actually triggers our content protection agent and puts my machine into some kind of lockdown mode. It's pretty unpleasant. No cut and paste, that kind of stuff. I hope Matrix will be, a little smoother than that. So I think someone was going to comment on this.
Yeah. Hey, for people that are talking in the chat too, you can actually edit this document right in the meeting window and write your stuff in the document in the Etherpad. You can put your name up the top so we know who's what color and things like that. But you can then write your.
And if the document, no, I was to say, if the document doesn't show up for you for whatever reason, there's the More Actions triple dot menu next to the Hang Up button. If you click that, there's a Open Shared Document option. If you open the shared document, it should force the document to open up for you if it isn't already there.
That's a great point. Does everyone understand what's being explained here? So when I'm looking at the screen, I see the Meetpad chat on the left, chats and polls, and I can see recent updates from Kirthi, Venkat, Brandon. And then in the middle, there's the Etherpad, which is today's agenda, and people have been very kindly trying to capture some of the content on it. If you want to put your questions there instead of in the chat and polls window, they'll actually live there. And I'm going to share this link again after out to various places like Mastodon and LinkedIn. Maybe people can look at it later and get something out of it. Maybe they can respond. Maybe they have the same question. And then on the right, I see the participants. I'm the only one on video. I think the reason for that is Jitsi is kind of bandwidth intensive, so it's kind of difficult for everyone to actually be on video at the same time. I'm just blatantly doing it as the host.
I just turned mine off so that it didn't add that extra data stream to it. My camera angle is kind of crappy anyway. And most people have all I have is the Etherpad screen, so nobody needs to look at my ugly mug. Here, I'll put the link to the Etherpad in the chat too, just for if anybody's having trouble getting the Etherpad directly in the meeting. You could open it in another window.
I see an update lower down about the specific thing about web clients for chat protocols. The only time I've actually had my laptop get so troublesome is with IRC Cloud in particular. But I mean, it's absolutely true that we can't be certain that Matrix or Discord would work when we're at our desks on our corporate networks. That's why I'm saying is we should try it. He's saying it might be in our employer policy. I mean, I'm allowed to do IRC. It's just that they have corporate control tools that get troublesome, right? Like it's not like I'm doing this illicitly. It's on my calendar. My manager knows what I'm doing, right? So I know that we're sort of drifting topic, but this is a comment that Jeremy's making. I don't know if everyone's seeing it. For me, his text is showing up in white on black. I don't know if people. I can highlight. I think I can highlight what I'm talking about. So, and then someone, I think it's possibly Venkat, saying, let's make a room and try it, maybe call it OpenStack Ops. Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah. Oh, that's you?
Yeah.
Oh, your colors are inconsistent between your attendees and.
Oh, that's annoying.
It's okay. Yeah.
Here, I'll fix. Oh, I think I put my name in here originally for in the window before I realized I could type in the meeting. There. How about that?
Anyway, I guess back to the upgrades. There's some questions now going into the Etherpad. Questions about Linux Bridge, OVS, OVN. I unfortunately can't help you because we don't use any of those things. We use a pure layer 3 network in Calico for our Neutron implementation. And that has its own fun. But
oh, cool! There's a link for the Linux bridge to OVN migration. So that's cool.
So there's a question: how to do OBS to OVN migration? I guess there was supposed to be a migration script, and that hasn't.
Yeah, we talked about it back at the Shanghai summit when we had the ops meetup after, and some Neutron guys from Red Hat came in and said that OVN was going to be like the default in Red Hat OpenStack, and it was going to be the new hotness, and everybody should use it. And they were going to, they were going to produce some migration, at least some methodology, to be able to migrate from OBS to OVN. And I haven't gone back to look again in a little bit, but it never kind of materialized. But I honestly haven't had enough trouble with OVS to really get rid of it. My only concern is that at some point it's going to go the way of the Linux bridge, and I'll be forced to do it. So I've been trying to decide if I'm going to do it now, since I'm kind of going greenfield at this point, as opposed to trying to migrate later on. I know I've been reading through some things about issues with OVN and load balancers and stuff, which I have to kind of sort out what the limitations are in OVN and why it would be, why it might be a problem if I use it the way I'm currently trying to use OBS. But
so one of the things I think that might help this idea of Ops Radio kind of get off the ground a bit more than today's thing is having the specific questions. Like, we can all blast out the agenda. If we said, for instance, that next time we get together, we want to talk about OVS to OVN migration and performance tools, maybe we could actually get people who know something about that to join in, right? And actually share what they know. I mean, there's a question from Kirti in the chats and polls window. Currently, we are exploring OVN migrating from Linux Bridge, seeing lack of performance tools specific. As I mentioned, I can't help with that, but maybe this kind of format might interest people who can talk about it, right? So someone's helpfully captured that. So I will definitely put that on the agenda for next time. I think that kind of implies there will be a next time. I don't want to spend too much on infrastructure and operational things rather than OpenStack, but do people want to discuss that now? Would this be useful to try and make this a regular thing? There was thoughts that we might make it monthly, for instance. I think that there was even a suggestion of weekly, but I'm not sure I believe that level of commitment to start with. But
yeah,
any thoughts?
I mean, I think once a month probably is generally sufficient. The other idea is we could try the cadence that some of the project teams use, where they'll do. I think they may do once a week, but if we did every other week, and then but with alternating time zones, something that might be more amenable to our friends in Singapore, say. I don't know what time it is in Singapore right now, but stupid late, I'm guessing. Maybe we can try something like that. And this time slot works pretty well for East Coast US and Europeans.
Absolutely. That's something that the old meetups, in-person meetups planning process tried to honor is changing geographical region in a rotation, so that if there was one that was kind of inconvenient for you, the one after that should be nearer. So North America, Europe, basically, and APAC. It's much easier to honor that in some sense on something like this. We just have to pick a different slot in the day, and that'll land more happily for APAC, for instance. I'm quite happy to do that. So I'm seeing a +1 on monthly. And then there's a question, or should we do every other week with alternate time zones? I'm going to suggest that we start with monthly and see if the next one where we have a like we can make it one of the agenda items, specifically OBS, OVN performance upgrades, getting off Linux Bridge, etc., and see how that does, and we can see if there's lots of plus ones on a more Europe friendly time or a more APAC friendly time.
Just full disclosure, I threw that question about Linux Bridge up, and I don't have this problem. I just know that it's gotten discussion on like the mailing list, and there's there's already work, so I thought it might be worth bringing up here. So don't feel like you need to dig in more on for my benefit, but if others are interested, then for sure.
I just want to add 2 comments on the timing. I think monthly for now will probably work better since we are approaching summertime. So I think sustaining maybe a 2-week cadence and expecting a lot of people to show up might be overly ambitious. So and then once fall kicks in, at least Northern Hemisphere fall kicks in, and more people are more stably back in the office, we can always revisit to have the calls more often if there's the desire is there. And as far as alternating time slots, like I've been organizing meetings for years now, and funnily enough, kind of the 6 a.m. Pacific, which is I think 1300 UTC right now, is one of the most golden spots if you want to capture most of the time zones. If we have people in Australia, New Zealand, then that would be a whole different ball game, and we might sacrifice either Europe or the Americas. That is something that we need to, I think, decide based on who's interested in attending the calls and see what slot would work best. It's just my experience of the last 10 years of trying to work with global communities.
I've seen similar. That time slot is a very good time slot.
And I'm speaking against myself because I'm in US Pacific, so yeah.
I think that works out to be 9 a.m. Friday for me. I'm in New York City, and I'm perfectly happy to do that. And I think that would work for me. So should we say that in roughly a month and roughly at 1300 UTC, we'll try again to do another Ops Radio and see if this is something that will kind of get off the runway? I'm perfectly happy to keep trying. I think this already has some engagement here. I see SGT 21 p.m. I don't.
The 21 p.m. is 9
just
p.m.
confirming.
21 p.m. means 9 in the evening.
So that would be 9 p.m. in Singapore time. That's actually in the weekend, so I feel bad about even suggesting it. I think Venkat's in Singapore. Would that
you
work
might
for
want to
you, or
consider. You might want to consider doing Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know if there's another reason for doing that, but I know a lot of U.S. companies, especially, do like summer flex hours, and so people, like a lot of companies, will work 4-day week and then be off on Friday, which might kind of limit the Friday might limit the audience because people will be out doing summer things. I don't know.
Yeah, but for me personally, the 9 p.m. on Monday to Thursday is kind of multiple calls because our team is globally present, and Friday is a no meeting day. So,
okay.
So, yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Okay, that's great to hear. I appreciate if you're dialing in from the evening in your time. That's very kind of you. Seems like we have rough consensus around do it again in about a month, and aim for 1300 UTC to try and semi-optimize the time for likely participants, but also keep open the idea that there might be a whole contingent who are fast asleep at that time. And if we keep on trickling out the information via various channels, maybe we can say, hey, do we need to move this to another slot or alternate and that kind of thing? And I'm sure if people are actually interested but can't make it, they can let us know, right? If people aren't interested, then they don't get a say in when we do it, right? So
you want to do this on the 27th? Is that what we're saying? That'd be a month.
Is that
June 20? Oh, yeah, I see.
Friday?
Yep, I see you wrote it in there. Yep, June 27th. So, okay, that works.
I really appreciate the people taking the effort to write this down, by the way, because it's very hard to kind of keep the discussion flowing and be typing. I don't seem to have enough brain power to do all those things at the same time. I think I cut someone off. Please just speak up.
No, I just that was me, Ildiko. On one hand, I have the same problem, so I'm always trying my best to take notes when someone else is running a meeting because I have a hard time speaking and typing at the same time as well. So I'm totally with you on that one. And I think when it comes to the next call time, if we have a rough consensus and don't hate the June 27th as a date, if we put it out like right now and keep reminding people, I think that's there will not be a perfect time. So having something now and putting out everywhere so people know and can plan with it, that might be the best option to get as many people as we can, as opposed to trying to find the time slot that works for most people.
Absolutely.
I hope I articulated myself clearly. It's still, my coffee is still kicking in.
Venkat, I saw a pop-up saying you want to participate. Please just speak up. We're not running the meeting. That's strictly here. Did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I just wanted to give a thumbs up for the comment she made that we put up a notice and give multiple reminders on the social media and then see how it goes.
Okay, so that actually reminds me of something I wanted to ask the people who are present if they could leverage the communication channels that they have to get the message out more widely. So I'll be honest, I'm not currently on Blue Sky or Threads or Twitter or Facebook, right? When I looked at LinkedIn, I think the old OpenStack group is gone. It seems to be OpenStack Forum, which is private. I don't understand that. I don't use Reddit, right? But I do have the Ops Meetups account on Mastodon, which is on Fostodon, which I think is probably okay, although they've been having some problems recently. And I'm obviously on the mailing list. So if we formulate a message saying, hey, Ops Radio seemed to work well enough that we're going to try again on June 27th at 1300 UTC, can other people get that out to those other places? Like, I think there's an OpenStack board on Reddit. Can someone handle that? Can someone put it out on other things? Like, I know I'm being vague here, but there's a large number of places where there's some OpenStack community. That's part of the problem I see in putting together the operators, because they're not even OpenStack developers, right? I run infrastructure for Bloomberg, not, I'm not officially associated with Foundation, Open Infra, Open Dev, or any of the project teams. I don't know if I even made my request clear. Can we get this out to the places where OpenStack people are, that we were going to try this again?
I can do the Reddit one unless somebody from the Foundation is regularly doing something there. But
the Foundation doesn't have a official Reddit account, so if you want to handle that one, that's appreciated. As for the other platforms, we can cover those.
Very cool. I'll write something on Mastodon, and then I'll share it with you, Helena, and Ildiko, and then you can reboost it or just share the link to Foundation channels. Eric's going to put it on Reddit. Does anyone have a comment on what is available on LinkedIn? Because it was told to me that LinkedIn is a place where OpenStack, community does some stuff, but it didn't look very. I'll be honest, I don't use LinkedIn very much. I've been at Bloomberg longer than LinkedIn has existed, honestly. So it's not a big thing for me.
There's
I'm gonna.
There's a couple LinkedIn groups, but the official one has ceased to exist, unfortunately.
Yeah, what's up with that, huh? It's a Seinfeld type of thing. Venkat,
We don't actually know. It disappeared one day.
Yeah. So people who've been funky saying you're not allowed, I don't even have a LinkedIn account. Thank you. I go on it and I wonder why I do it. Like literally, I've been working for Bloomberg 100% for longer than LinkedIn has existed. Why am I even using it, right? I know it's because sometimes you want to get the word out to people who might want to look at your job vacancies. But Venkat, Kirthi, how did you find out about this, and what would be a way that you would definitely see it? What's your favorite place where we could get the news of such events to you?
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, and I closely follow the Open Infra group, or the company, and then I'm also following the OpenStack. It's called OpenStack group. So I came across this Ops Radio as a post inside the OpenStack company, right? So I don't know who posted it, but that's where I came to know that.
Okay,
I can share the post
on LinkedIn.
If you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I posted something this morning. I was late. I meant to do it yesterday, but work got in the way. Just kind of destroyed my concentration. So I can do LinkedIn. I definitely did that. I'll do Mastodon. Eric's going to do Reddit. If you know of an OpenStack community where you think that if we share the news about doing this again on the 27th will be a benefit, by all means do it. When I've made a post about this following this meeting, I will add it to the Etherpad. In this section here where it says next call date time, I will put a link, and you can grab that link and put it where you hang out. I actually also posted it to IRC this morning, again late, and I apologize, work got in the way. Just for context, we are undergoing auditing for Swift compliance, which is super fun. And if anyone has questions about that, I'm happy to actually take questions just on my email, which is actually my personal email is up here on the attendees list. I don't ask people to put their email there, but I put mine there. You're welcome to use it. I think we're going to pass, but we've had to basically undergo, even more cumbersome processes for access control and those kinds of things. Super fun. Anyway, I'm rambling. We have 1 minute left. I'll just open it to any more comments. Go ahead.
I put the Fostodon channel down at the bottom there where we had that social media. How did you hear about it? I expanded that out. So if anybody wants to follow the Mastodon OSOps meetup, that's there.
Yeah.
Invite your friends.
Thank you.
So just in full disclosure, I created the OSOps meetup on Fostodon. The foundation wasn't fully on Mastodon themselves because they were using Fostodon as well, so it seemed okay. If that's not the best place, some people may object to certain things that went on for Fostodon recently. By all means, strike up that conversation. I have my own Mastodon server. I'm not at all tied to Fostodon. And it's meant to just be a shared thing, like the meetups team traditionally had a shared Twitter account, right? But I deleted that because Twitter is unacceptable. So I'm just sensitive to the fact that Fostodon had a kerfuffle recently, but we don't need to get into that. But that is time. Any final comments?
I want to just throw in one thing. I know that we are optimizing to not having to rely on in-person gatherings, but I wanted to bring up that the Open Infra Summit will be happening in Europe in October, and there will be a forum segment of the event again, and the forum CFP will open within a week or two, I think, so soon. So if the group is interested, then that would be a good place to propose like an ops gathering forum session type of thing to get interactive with people in person. So just wanted to throw that in so that it's on people's minds I don't know yet when the CFP will close, so we'll likely have time. We might be able to just discuss it on the next call on June 27th. But again, something to think about if people can make it and would be interested in having a session there.
Okay. Yeah, I threw that on the thing for topics for next time.
That's a great point. Just for just to share, I won't be going. I kind of went to the last two things that we sent people to for OpenStack because we're sending other people who are going to talk about QoS management in Nova, Neutron, and Cinder, and they're actually contributing code or trying to. I think that's a far better use of our travel money. So I will not be going to the summit, unfortunately. I'm kind of sad about it, but we're sending the right people. So if someone else will be there and wants to shoulder the responsibility to try and have some kind of ops meetup, Eric, I'm looking at you, although I can't look at you because you're not on a video.
I'm probably going, so we'll see.
Okay. I want to finish on time because it's important when someone is running a meeting to respect everyone's time. So any final, very brief comments, like one thought? No? Okay, well, I've said that I will share the completed Etherpad for this one. I'll do so. And then there's going to be a Matrix room set up. I will get a Matrix account and join that and might see you there. And if not, let's try this again on June 27th at 1300 UTC. And with that, I think we're done. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks.
Chris, thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love the reactions. That's hilarious.